want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Beat in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grabbing things tasted. One love disease, bring to their knees. So take the fantasy. Just like the wind spread to the street. Time to make it bleed. 'Cause we just want retribution. Yes, we'll light up the darkness. Make true of an empty promise. With guys in the weekend, harmless. Take to the streets and turn them to a mosh pit. 'Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.
I don't know what gets me more fired up, the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner, or that intro. Prince Adam, you did an amazing job.
That song
putting
gets
that
me
thing
every
together.
time.
Love it.
Every time.
Love it, love it, love it. So welcome to the 13th episode, lucky number 13, Adrenaline, the podcast presented by Fatheads Eyewear. You can get you a pair of these babies, or maybe you want something a little different to suit your own style. Fatheadseyewear.com. Rico Elmore and his team doing it better than anybody else since 2004. You know, we got this event coming up, Dragstock 2023 at the Rock, September 29th and 30th.
I've heard it.
Not only is it presented by Fatheads this year, but 19 years ago in 2005, it was presented by Fatheads. How's that for a little history? Have to see if Rico can get our boy from the original Survivor winner, Rupert. Remember the guy with the big hair and the beard, had the tie-dye shirt on all the time.
Was he the first winner, or was it that Richard Hatch guy?
Did Richard Hatch win first? And then
I think
Rupert
he won
next,
first, because
maybe.
I feel like he won first.
I'll trust
and it
your
might have been
history
an
on that.
one.
I'll try. When it comes to that kind of stuff, you know, as
He
the
had
host
tax
of
problems. That's why I remember.
I bet you didn't know podcast that airs on Tuesday nights now. I'll defer to you. We're obviously missing the third member of our team. Unfortunately, Dr. Fears had a death in the family. Want to send our condolences to his entire family and
Indeed.
Everybody that cared about his beautiful stepsister, and they're down there laying her to rest. And we miss you, brother. Wish you were here, obviously, and hate that you're gone under these circumstances, but I know you're watching in. So much love, positive vibes and prayers headed your way. So excited about the guy in the green room. I hate to jump to that transition.
No, it's all good. It's hard not to.
When you see, I mean, wow, 2-time.
Oh, hey. Reel it in.
Easy,
all in good time. All in good time.
So, we've got a ton of great stuff going on. This episode, we've got the guest that everybody's been waiting for. Producer Adam, you're actually going to get to do the In the Fears. That makes sense.
I'm going to try to fill those shoes as best as I can.
Yeah.
I'm multitasking back here.
Yes, you are. And glad to have you on screen. Looking good there. Sporting your ADRL shirt. You got you even got the red light in there. So.
Yeah, I tried to make it seem as seamless and natural as possible.
You look beautiful. I just hope nobody walks in that door behind you, because that could be a problem.
Oh boy, they have to get through a couple locked doors before they get here. So yeah, we got bigger problems than that.
Absolutely. And you know what? We've got a new member to the Nowling family. Ooh. My beautiful daughter Brooklyn last night adopted a 1-year-old who, by the way, dog.
Okay,
for everybody, I was
going to say we need to step in real quick.
Easy.
You did this a couple weeks ago on Facebook. We don't need to go down that road.
We're not going down that road. I already let Frankie Taylor do that, but at any rate, So Petey, a Bernese, a Bernie Doodle, which is a Bernese hunting dog or shepherd dog or something, in a poodle mix. I don't know how they got that together. All I know is he's beautiful, and he's about 80 pounds, and our dog Indy is all of 15 pounds, and he's about 15 years old. And I got to tell you, Petey's kind of lit a fire under Indy, and Indy's loving it.
Yeah, got to reclaim territory.
Absolutely, yeah. So they're having a great time. So welcome to the family, and I got to tell you, I've had a lot of proud moments as a parent, and this one ranks right up there. Brooklyn she's been saving. She could have went to a breeder. She could have done a plethora of things to get a dog, and she knows how much the Godfather, Bobby Don, loves animals, and she's been raised to love animals. And Indy's been a part of our family for 15 years. So she went out and did the adoption thing. So we love having them. And hey, as a bonus, Petey's birthday is 4/20.
No, I don't even understand that.
If you know, you know.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
You're in the know.
You know what's weird is if I tilt my head to the right on the monitor, it goes to the left.
The mirroring aspect.
It's the mirroring aspect. So I'm like, I feel like I'm wanting to, and my head leans anyway. It does its own thing.
The leaning tower piece.
Absolutely,
gravity takes a hold.
Does its own thing. So wanted to mention real quick, this will be the last episode that airs live on Facebook.
Correct.
So having said that, I'm getting a little bit of an echo, I got to tell you.
I know. I knew this was going to come up. I wish there was something else I could do about it, but in the throes of trying to get everything figured out and getting the second camera going, I can't get the damn sound on this camera to go off because it's on this thing. So it's as low as possible and stuffed as possible. So as long as we keep talking, we're never going to be able to.
So to the audience, because what I'm seeing on the screen obviously isn't quote unquote real time, but
sure,
to the audience out there, as we work our way through some technical. So I'll just ask Jason Ramos, our voices matching up with the sound? I don't want it to look like one of those shows that's like Godzilla lagging behind. Yeah, that's no bueno. So somebody chime in and let us know how we're doing before I bring in our guest.
I think we're okay. It just sounds like we're at the track, if anything else. So it's almost, it's almost kind of fitting. I feel like Tucci.
Jennifer Stanton's giving us the claps.
There's Tucci. He said it's fine.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
take
fine.
that.
There you go. Yep. We got two experts, Jennifer Stanton and Al Tucci. Robert Ty, my man.
Speaking of, that was our guest last week.
Why he was, and man, I've gotten so much positive feedback, and he was such an integral part. As you know, I've been on the Whirlwind sponsor tour that took me through the state of Tennessee and right back here, and then I leave as soon as the show's over to go back to Kansas City for more meetings tomorrow. And then on to Nebraska. So lots going on in the ADRL sponsorship world. Lots of new sponsors coming on. Obviously, Robert and Pam and Advanced Concrete Design. adding that 6-0 class.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a whole big deal.
We've gotten probably a dozen guys that have already called wanting to know when the pre-entry is going to go up. So I'm excited. Michael Siebert down there in Texas, for everybody down south in Texas, Louisiana, South Florida, Arizona. God bless all of you, man. May the air conditioning God smile on you, because I'm telling you,
need them this time.
Oh man. I mean, I don't even setting record highs for, and I'm not going to get into a debate about global warming, this, that, or the other, but let's just call it what it is.
Cyclical.
It is cyclical, because these records that they're breaking were set in the 70s.
Sure. Was
global warming a thing in the 70s? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist. I'm just a promoter and a guy that likes to run his mouth. But
how reliable was the thermometer? Everything. There's so many different factors that go into it.
Exactly. So all I'm telling you is it's hot, and if you're in the state of Texas, stay indoors as much as possible.
Yeah, I don't need a thermometer telling me to stay inside.
No, not when it's 115 degrees out. So with that, I got to tell you, next week's guest, we'll tease it first. The winningest door slammer driver in the history of drag racing. This is his 50th year in the sport.
Okay.
And he reminded me earlier that he has been making a living doing this for 42 consecutive years.
Man.
Not just this isn't a hobby like it is for a lot of guys that have successful businesses. Now, listen, there's a ton of guys and gals that compete in the ADRL that they have hugely successful careers. They win lots of events. They win championships, etc. But to do it for a living for 42 years, and like Tricky Ricky Smith, who will be our guest next week on Adrenaline, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Tricky Ricky, who needs no introduction. Tricky Ricky Smith has won more door slammer races and world championships than any probably 5 or 10 people combined. So, hey, Nick Rabe, welcome.
What's up,
I get excited when you get to have a guy like Ricky on who's got that kind of history. And I hear some people comparing themselves that have been doing this for 3 or 4 years. And I've heard some pundits and some different magazines and some different people online, social media, whatnot, comparing people to Ricky Smith. Do it for a living for 42 years and then talk to me.
Yeah, that's a different bar.
Win 13, 14 world championships across 4 different sanctioning bodies. Then talk to me. Be the only person ever to win 2 ADRL national events in one weekend in Houston, Texas. A few weeks following his father's death, he goes out there and wins the Makeup Dragpalooza event and the Texas Drags at Houston Raceway Park in the same weekend. Ran the table on the boys.
That's a feat.
So found a whole box of these, Prince Adam.
See those babies? You're carrying around something.
Yeah. Those.
Whose car is that on the cover?
Well, that would be Tricky Ricky Smith.
Damn, I'm good.
This is the premiere issue, Volume 1, Issue 1, February 2005. Adrenaline. It's got, it says American Drag Racing League launches its new season at Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We've got drag stock coverage from Carolina Dragway, profile with then NHRA Pro Mod World Champion Mike Ashley, who we want to send a congratulations out to his beautiful daughter, Alexa. Her and her husband just had their first baby this past week. And Mike and Mindy are now proud grandparents. And Justin Ashley, Top Fuel Stars, a proud uncle. So all kinds of good stuff in here, including, check this out, Eddie Ware. If anybody remembers this car back in the day, badass.
Yeah.
Eddie Ware. We did 6 posters on the inside of this magazine back in the day. And I won't read through the whole thing, but here's what I'm going to tell you. And then, of course, on the back of the inside, the women of drag stock.
Oh, yeah.
Legendary. I mean, we've got Nurse Tiffany. We've got Tony. We've got...
I read it for the articles.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Tony Schnecksnader, who was with the legendary Doug Palmer, driver of the Voodoo Corvette. Tony Iannotti, who, if you've ever... Just Google Tony Iannotti. Be nice, though, because Ron Iannotti will beat the brakes off of you if you say anything disrespectful.
Good to know.
So lots of good stuff.
Hey, before we get to our guest who's in the green room,
I do see him.
Can you give a quick rundown of the classes and everything going down to Dragstock?
You know what? I'll do that. And here's what I'll tell you. These are going to be available leading up to Dragstock. We are going to have, we're going to give them away. Ricky Smith is the box that I found. Tricky Ricky Smith. We're going to send him down to him. He's going to personally autograph every cover and then we'll have them, and we're going to give them out here on Adrenaline the podcast going forward. So,
all right.
Right now we've got Pro Extreme, obviously,
of course,
Pro Nitrous,
mm-hmm.
Pro Junior Dragster, Top Junior Dragster. We've got the 470 index class. We've now got the 6.0 index class.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Robert and Pam Ty.
Indeed.
Appreciate you so much. Next week, in addition to having the winningest door slammer drag racer of all time on, Tricky Ricky Smith, we are going to make a huge class announcement, one that everybody's been waiting for. And when we make it, it will absolutely set, and there'll be more to come. Again, we're busting our ass. We're traveling all over the country, and in the marketing team, there's still 2 people back there grinding as we speak right now. So Allison and Brian, keep up the good work on the other side of this wall to my left.
Damn, I was thinking about taking next week off. I guess I'll have to be here.
Yes, you will. So, no, it's going to be a great show next week. Again, Tricky Ricky Smith, and then we will make a class announcement that will get thousands and thousands. Hell, I'll say hundreds of thousands of people stoked and amped as if they already aren't for the 20th edition. 20 years, man, 2004 to 2023.
Can people get more excited?
I don't know if they can.
Find out.
We're going to find out in just a second, because with that, it is time to bring on our man. You're watching Adrenaline, the podcast presented by Fatheads Eyewear, and joining us, 2-time Pro Extreme World Champion and former drag stock winner.
Ooh.
So like if you're a NASCAR champion and you're not a Daytona 500 winner, your resume is incomplete. If you're an ADRL champion and you're not a drag stock winner, your resume is incomplete.
Yeah, I'm passing on that one.
Welcome to Adrenaline, Bad Bubba Stanton.
Hey.
What's up, 2-time?
How you guys doing?
And I don't mean that as in you would ever 2-time beautiful Jennifer. I mean, you were a 2-time Pro Extreme World Champion and a former drag stock winner. When you won drag stock, Bubba, how important was that to you? Again, we talk about it, and if you race an IndyCar, you can win all the championships in the world, but if you haven't won the Indy 500 or in NASCAR, you haven't won the Daytona 500, your resume is incomplete. You won a world championship. How special is it also being a drag stock champion?
It felt pretty good because really you're the one that built the hype up on it and compared it to all these other things. So, I mean, we had no choice but to try to do the, and we all wanted to win at drag stock.
Well, and you know what? It goes back to with it being a double points race, the last opportunity generally, and it'll be back to that way next season, being the penultimate, the second to last race of the year, if you will. You've got the pressure of that, but everybody else is also, and in this instance, it'll be the first points earning race towards the 2024 20th anniversary tour championship. Everybody just seemed to be pushing their cars harder. I mean, that's where Jason Scruggs broke the 200-mile-per-hour barrier, neighbor down there in Mississippi. I've seen guys push their cars beyond the limit of what they would normally do at an ADRL race just to get qualified or try to get qualified. And then once you're in eliminations, you're putting everything you've got into it. And that's why we've seen so many incredible ETs and mile per hours in Rockingham at drag stock, I think.
Yeah, I think going into drag stock, I mean, everybody, their main goal going in was just to qualify. Everybody wanted to just qualify.
Mm-hmm.
Once you got qualified, I mean, that was some of our quickest fields ever at drag stock.
Yeah. And I think it's going to take a 50 to get into Pro Extreme this year. I really do. I think I know that there's 20 cars off the top of my head that are coming that could run in the 50s, especially with the weather conditions. If they're anywhere close to what they should be, September 29th and 30th, that new track that Robert Ty poured from one end to 800 feet wall to wall, Dan Van Horn, Al Gianarelli, Jim Howard going to be doing the track prep, one of the best in the entire business. You yourself have hauled ass at the then Montgomery Motorsports Park when Jim and Jackie were running it, now Capital City Motorsports Park, who's high up on the target list for an ADRL Tour event next year. Bubba, I mean, the table's going to be set, right? Everything's going to be out there for you and your compadres to get.
Yeah, I mean, I think the weather's right. I mean, there have already been a few 40s ran, and if the weather's good, I don't see no reason why we can't run 40s again. I mean, I've never been in the 40s yet, but there's a few guys that have, and I'm definitely going to be shooting for it.
You and a whole lot of other folks. It's going to shock when we put out the first iteration of the entry list for Pro Extreme, Pro Nitrous, and the other classes as well. There's going to be a lot of jaws drop, including yours, on who some of the names are that are coming to run drag stock and run Pro Extreme and Pro Nitrous. So going to be super exciting. We've been teasing it for a week, Bubba. There's one guy or gal out there whose ass you want to go after. Doesn't matter.
Win, lose,
draw, world championships, world records, all that aside, who's the one person when you roll into the gates at Rockingham Dragway, September 29th and 30th for drag stock, who's the one person whose ass you're going after full guns blazing?
I mean, that would have to be Jason Scruggs, because I mean, he is the baddest man in Pro Extreme trim that I know of. We're buddies, but if you want to beat the best man in Pro Extreme, it'd have to be him.
Well, Robert Lohr made that guess earlier in the week, and sure enough, your son Wes jumping in. Sure enough, man, I know there were a lot of people expecting you, given your recent history and the rivalry that you guys have built in Texas down at Extreme Raceway Park, to say Clyde Scott. I don't know what Clyde's feelings are about you saying Jason when Clyde's the most recent winner on tour and right now the guy that everybody else seems to be gunning for. But why Jason Scruggs over Clyde Scott, or anybody for that matter? Frankie the Madman Taylor, all the other hitters out there.
I mean, there are so many out there that you could choose from. I mean, if you go back and look at records or performances, I mean, who's done more than Jason's done? I mean, Clyde is a very good racer. Clyde is good. And, you know, I'm going to outrun Clyde at his own track. He don't want to do it. He don't want to come to Rockingham to get it done. I mean, I can go to his own track and do that.
Well, speaking of which, last week, and you went down to XRP for the Larry Jeffers Race Cars Extreme Ironman Pro Mod Series at Extreme Raceway Park, and you knocked them all off and took home the big trophy and the big check.
Yeah, I told Clyde before I went, I said, I'm going to win this race. There's no ifs, buts about it. I'm going to win this race. I said, and when I come back, you can say, well, the only reason you won because I wasn't there. And we know that's Clyde. Clyde's going to say that. But, I mean, me and Clyde's going to be there again. It's going to be fun. I mean, I love that track.
Well, and congratulations on the win. I know you'd love to have not broken that crank and had that run against Frankie at Dragpalooza back on June 9th and 10th. It wasn't meant to be, and Clyde took home the Minuteman that night. But going into drag stock, if I start naming off just some of the people at the top of the food chain, and I don't want to forget anybody, so I'm not going to name anybody. Anybody that follows the ADRL and follows Pro Extreme knows that there are going to be 16 to 20 cars there capable of running in the 50s and capable of winning that race. So you're going to have your work cut out for you. Anything different, your mindset going in? Again, you're not going to have run in these kind of conditions. I mean, you're going to have, much like you do at XRP, you're going to have an optimal track surface, much like when Galen Smith preps it with Jim Howard doing the track prep. You know it's going to be prepped within an inch of its life. But these atmospheric conditions are going to be, as we call them, mine shaft, September 29th and 30th. In a perfect world, and listen, the weather can change, but ideally that time of year, it's going to be as good as it can possibly be.
I mean,
Your mindset going in.
I would like for all of us to go fast and show out. I mean, I'd like for 2 or 3 cars to go in the 40s. I mean, I think that would help all of us. I mean, because there are cars out there capable of doing it again. And I think, you know, the weather right, we can do it again.
So you and I talked earlier in the week. Why do you think it was that Clyde didn't show? I mean, it is his home track. I realized that he is living in Montana now and has moved his business and his family and stuff. But why do you think Clyde didn't show up at that last race?
I don't know. The real reason probably is I don't blame him. He's in Montana with 70-degree weather and we're degree weather sweating, and he's up there laughing at us. I mean,
he's drinking that Texas tea, I'm sure.
Yeah, the tea's a whole lot nicer when the ice isn't melting within a minute.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Bubba, you're a family man, and the family coming to drag stock, you bringing the whole crew down?
Yep.
Awesome. who are you most looking forward to seeing? Okay, so there's going to be some guys that haven't raced with us in a while, and we won't know until we officially release the entry list 2 weeks from tonight. And don't forget, this will be our last Facebook Live episode. We will still be live, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. We're just switching it over to our YouTube channel. So if you haven't already done so, please go. We'll put a link on Facebook, but we're going to be going live on YouTube. We're going to take this this little dream of ours to the next level, thanks to producer Adam, Dr. Fears, and everybody behind the scenes. So don't forget, if you're going to watch us next week, you're going to have to go and follow us on YouTube.
Yeah, make sure to subscribe. You get the notification whenever we go live.
Absolutely. Subscribe at ADRL Tour. We were not going to beat you up with a bunch of emails every 2 hours. You're going to get a notification when we go live, anytime we go live. So we were saying, Bubba, I found an old Sean Melton DVD here from back in the day. This is from the Hush Power Drag Stock 5. This is when Flowmaster opened their new Hush Power division. They were still the title sponsor during that 2009 season. The National Guard was the presenting sponsor. And as I went through and watched this video, obviously it was special to me because that was the year that KJ at 10 years young won drag stock for the first time. His Minuteman's sitting right next door in my office. But I look at the people, not just on the back of the DVD, and the people that could potentially show up, guys like Todd Tutterow, the aforementioned a few weeks ago, the Carolina Kid, Travis Harvey, obviously the hitters, Frankie the Madman Taylor, John Sullivan, all the guys will be coming. I'm hoping that we see more Melanie Salemi. Is there anybody out there that you haven't raced against in a while that you'd love to line up next to?
It's been a while. I mean, I would love to see Todd take some weight out of his cars because Todd's one of the best racers out there also, and I'd love to see him take some weight out of one or two of his cars he's tuning and bring them out there.
Yeah, and I think so from your standpoint, what is your goal when you go into qualifying? What kind of an ET are you looking for, and what do you realistically think's out there?
For me or for the whole field?
We'll start with you, and then we'll address the field.
I mean, depends on weather, but I mean, I don't see no reason if the weather's good, like we're all hoping. I mean, there's no reason I can't go low 50s. I mean, I would love to go bottom 50s and Friday night really try to get out. And I think that'd be the best thing to do.
And people don't realize how difficult, we're talking about just a few thousandths of a second, the difference between going a 50 or a 51 or going a 50 flat. Hey, Jim Howard, speak of the devil. There's a lot that goes into that. I mean, we've progressed from when the ADRL started in 2004. We've progressed from 4.0s being bad fast, right? And when you went in the 390s, it was a big deal. And then all of a sudden, Jason goes in the 80s, and then we go in the 70s, then we go in the 60s. Now we're in the 50s. We've been in the 40s. With the ADRL coming back full steam ahead in a 6 to 8 race tour for the 2024 20th anniversary tour, the hitters are going to continue to come back out. How difficult is it from a tuning and a driving perspective to go from 51 to 49? I mean, again, you're talking 200ths of a second, which doesn't seem like a lot in day-to-day life, but in the 660 feet that you've got to cover in Rockingham, North Carolina, that's an eternity. Well,
I can tell you, I've been 351 in 2014 in Rockingham. And I've been 53, 54, 55, a bunch of that since then. But from that 51, it's a mile. I mean, it's miles away to run 49 from a 51. I mean, it just takes so much. I mean, the stars got to line up. I mean, it's got to be right to go in the 40s. The 40s is just not easy to find. And like I said, 2014 when I went to 51, and I haven't been any faster since.
Well, and that begs the question, the field itself, before I ask you this next question, the field itself, we talked about what your thoughts are now on your program with Jason and Frankie and Clyde and all these other hitters coming. What do you think is a realistic possibility? And if I had to put you down to a number right now, what do you think number one qualifier will be? And what do you think the 16 car bump will be?
I think if the weather's good, there will be a number one qualifier running the 40s. And I think probably to get in the show, depending on the car count, I mean, I feel like upper 50s will be the bump. I think do it. I think some of these cars that's been running the rules deal and weight and all that, I think they're gonna take weight out of the cars just to go see what they can do. Because I mean, they run fast with weight in them, but I think they want to know how fast they can go, and I hope some of them guys show up.
What would it take from a technology or equipment standpoint to really get to that next level? Is it an equipment barrier that's keeping it from getting to the 3.4s on a regular basis?
I mean, there's a few cars out there, and I mean, there's probably quite a bit of cars out there that's got everything to do it with. It just takes so much to do it. I mean, everything's got to line up: your fuel system, the track, the weather, timing. It just takes so much to line up to go in the 40s. I mean, it's a hard number to run.
Well, and to that end, you went in 2014, 51.
Look who's here.
Hey, what's up, Dr. Fierce? That's a decade ago, Bubba. Why, from just the layman's, just a regular, ordinary Joe Bag of Donuts fan that loves door slammer drag racing, outlaw door slammer drag racing, ADRL pro extreme drag racing. My personal opinion, and I'm curious to hear yours. My personal opinion is you guys haven't gone any faster because you haven't had to.
Yeah, is there just no need to break that barrier, or anybody?
You haven't had to push your stuff. That's my opinion. I know that, as you said, a lot goes into running from a 51 to a 49 or even a 47 like Frankie ran. It takes all the sun, the moon, the stars, and the weather and everything, the track surface, the track temperature, water grains, all the other things that correct at altitude. But just from a layman's standpoint, not getting into all those technical and mechanical terms, is it fair to say that you guys haven't had to push your cars any harder than you've been pushing them? Because let's face it, Pro Extreme over 5 years picked up almost a half a second in the eighth of a mile, which is unheard of in any class in the history of drag racing. But as you said, since 2014, it's gone the other way, even at outlaw events where there's no weight, like Clyde and Larry Jeffers Race Car Series down at Extreme Raceway Park.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, because we just haven't had to. I think since Clyde built his track, I don't know that I'd be running 50s right now if Clyde hadn't built his racetrack. I mean, his racetrack is a top-notch facility. You've been there. The track prep is perfect. It's the same every time you get there. I mean, you can unload and go right down a racetrack from the prior race you had there. The track's the same. I think just guys that race at Texas at Clyde's track, XRP Texas, as Galen calls it, I think that they're pushing us to go faster. Clyde's program has really turned around. He's doing really good. I mean, what we're lacking is the competition. Like you said, it's the competition. ADRL continues to grow. I think there'll be a lot of 40s ran. The competition's there. People's going to push their stuff more. They're going to try to figure out more, and there'll be a lot more 40s run.
Well, and we know that there's going to be at least one, maybe multiple cars there with a full-blown dual magneto top fuel engine in it. We saw Kevin Kinsley testing their Corvette up at Mocan Dragway at the Nitro Chaos event. I loved your response on social media. When you saw the video, you care to tell the viewers what your response was?
I thought that was cute.
It's cute, the fire and the flames and everything. Come line up next to me at Dragstock, and we'll see how impressive it is.
That's what I want them to do. Then they want me to run the altar. I mean, I don't have anything for that altar. That alter's fast, but you put doors on it, top fuel motor in it. You put doors on it, I'm gonna run you no matter what you got.
There you go.
I don't care. You got doors and you got suspension, I'm gonna run you, because I feel like I can go just as fast as anybody else out there to go.
Well,
and I may eat these words. Them guys figured out they may go as fast in the vet as they did the altar.
Well, and let's face it, we're all hoping for that. Me as a promoter, I'm certainly hoping for it. I mean, the aesthetics of having, the flames 6 feet over the doors and that roof, that's cool. But again, and I have to hand it to them on that soft tune up. Let's just see what it'll do lap. It went a 404, and Scott Palmer's got after his. I was standing right behind Palmer's when he made the first full hit down at Larry Jeffers' track, Jeffers Motorsports Park here in Sikeston, Missouri. And Scott ended up telling me after the run that the only reason he let out is because A, he knew the track was a little short, but B, it was like full whiteout because the flames are in a place that he's not used to him being. They're usually behind him in that top fuel dragster, and in a funny car, they're even further back. But in a door car, you've got your zoomies right up in front of you. So, I mean, it's almost like a full whiteout condition. It's like looking into the sun for a minute and then trying to drive a race car.
Yeah, and that's the thing about ADRL Pro Extreme, and I guess that's where I started racing at. And I've just never kind of ventured away from it that much. I just like having no rules. And them guys come out here with the dual mag, top fuel motor, everything, and they outrun me. I'm just going to work on my program. I don't care what they got. I'm going to work on my program to try to outrun them the next time.
Well, and what? Go ahead.
Fast makes us go faster.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. And just understand, and I'll say it here first so that it's recorded and it's for everybody can go back in the archives on our YouTube channel and watch it. What are we about 25 minutes in? Where are we at, Adam? I want to timestamp
35 in right now.
All right, so 35 minutes into the show, 34. I see the counter up there now. Okay.
Yeah, it's
at any rate,
up.
35 minutes roughly into the show. If these guys go out there and they run 330s at 235, you guys are going to have to tune your shit up, or you're going to have to get a top fuel motor. Is all I can tell you.
Yeah, it's almost who's going to break through first.
Send me a motor and a blower.
Yeah.
I mean, what else do you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when ADRL started. I mean, we started with roots blowers.
That's right.
Jason had a screw blower. Jason was outrunning us. So, I mean, everybody ended up with screw blowers. We may all end up with motors.
Competition breeds innovation and invention. So, yeah. Definitely.
Well, and that's what I'm most excited about.
Kenny love for all of us having flames coming out all the way down the racetrack.
It makes for good video,
it,
so I get it. From my side personally, I'd appreciate it too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the aesthetics of a fuel motor in a door car is just awesome. And when Scott Palmer tried it in Studezilla first, and then GR Sandlin's got his badass hot rod as well, I'm hoping they all three show up, and would tickle me to death if one or two of them made the show, because again, it's just going to. You guys are going to have to start pushing harder. In other words, playtime's over. It's getting back to serious. Every time you line up, the guy in the other lane or the gal in the other lane could flat whoop your ass and put up a number. Robert Ty wanted to know how much boost you run in your screw blower.
I have 56, 57 pounds.
56, 57 pounds. 128 over. That about right?
Yep.
So for those of you that are kind of novice to the mechanical side of it, like me, well, here's what I'll tell you what it means. It means that if the engine is turning 10,000 RPMs, and jump in and correct me, Bubba, because you know I'm not a mechanic or a tuner. If the engine's running 10,000 RPMs, producer Adam, that means that blower is spinning 128 times that, or 1.2 million.
Gotcha.
Can you even fathom how do they even stay together? It just blows my mind, man. And then you guys and gals that strap into them, complete and utter badasses. So talk family a little bit here, Bubba. Wes, I mean, do we have a future Major League Baseball prospect down in Potts Camp, Mississippi?
Ooh.
I got to get him through high school first.
Amen.
The reason I can't race anymore, he always wanted to go play ball somewhere, and we're always traveling playing ball. I think you called me one time I was out of town playing ball. And you
yeah. I was coming back from Tennessee, and you guys, if I would have just pulled off the interstate, you guys were a couple of miles from where I had been for the previous 2 days in meetings. So I wish I had called you. I'd love to have stopped. It's funny. I tell the story a lot. We were up in Norwalk way back, and I guess it would have been 2007 or 8. And Bill Bader Jr.'s son, Evan, who's now running a lot of the day-to-day operations and doing a fantastic job at Summit Motorsports Park up in Norwalk, Ohio. Jess and I went out and watched his baseball game, which was really cool. And he was a little guy. And I've been watching Wes through social media grow as a young man. And I've seen him at the track, obviously, and grow as a young man. But as a ball player, watching some of the videos, that kid can flat rip it.
He can play some ball. And I never thought I would say it, but I mean, I would rather go watch him play baseball than go drag racing.
Isn't that the truth?
I mean, it's come that point in time that I enjoy watching him so much that, you know, that's the reason I ain't going very many drag races as much as I did. That's what I told you. You got to limit the schedule to 6 races next year.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to find a good balance.
Well, it's 6 at minimum, and that's probably going to be the number. But if one of these few sponsor deals we're working on comes together and they want us to do 8, we'll just have to figure it in, and maybe we can get somebody to sponsor a tournament for Wes on the weekend that we're not racing, so that him and his guys can go play. So he's going into high school next year. Is that right?
Going into high school next year.
Wow. Where does the time go? So he'll still be playing traveling ball during the summer, though, right?
What'd you say, Kenny?
He'll still be so he's obviously going to be playing high school ball there. What high school is he going to attend down there in Potts Camp?
It's in Myrtle, Mississippi.
Myrtle, Mississippi.
Yep.
So, but he'll still be playing traveling ball when he's not playing high school ball.
Actually, he's fisting to play football.
Ah,
okay.
Now you're talking my language.
Baseball, but football's the next sport on the agenda.
All right. Well, hey, listen, there's a whole lot of guys out there that started playing football and fell in love with it so much that they left their baseball careers in the rearview mirror, even though they had tremendous opportunities. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, these guys, John Elway back in the day. These guys were Tim Tebow. They were drafted. Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders and a few others decided that they would do both, but and they did. But being a football guy, our family is a football family. As you know, all of my boys have played football. Maverick's getting ready to start flag football for the Liberty Eagles program this year. His brother KJ, who played there, and you watched grow up. KJ's now the defensive coordinator at Liberty High School and working with the Dallas Cowboys. He has a podcast, Cowboys Film Room, that does fantastic during the season. So we're what's up, Marcus? We're a big football family. So I'll be excited to hear that. You know what? You're going to have to send me the schedule because I want to get down there to Myrtle, Mississippi and watch our boy play some this fall.
We want you to come. We was talking about KJ a while ago. It just seemed like 3 months ago he was getting into junior drags for the first time.
Doesn't it? Time, man. Where's it go? 20 years ago we did that first drag stock. I mean, where does the times go?
Exactly.
Just crazy. So Hank Stubbs says, go ahead and play baseball, Bubba Stanton. He'll take the Camaro for a ride. Put that comment above Hank back up. What's this cat talking about? All right, so I see Hank Stubbs' comment. Hank, I call him half a Hank now because he lost like 130 pounds.
Change the pouring seat
this
now.
The guy did I meet him down in Texas?
You did.
All right. Yeah. So
what'd you say, champ?
I said Hank wouldn't even have to change the pouring seat out now. He can fall right in there where I'm at.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? And good for him.
It was funny when we were sitting over, me and Hank was talking, and you walked up, me and you talking. You never spoke to Hank, never said nothing. And before you walked off, are you Hank Stubbs?
It was the truth. I was embarrassed. I'm like, I've handed this guy a Minuteman trophy. Like he has won an ADRL national event. I mean, I'm standing there talking to him and I'm introducing myself, like, and he's looking at me, and he would say later as Dr. Fears and I started to walk off, I looked at Ryan and I'm like, oh my God, that's Stubbs. And I turned around and I walked back into your pit and I'm like, what? He's like, but it happens all the time. He's like, around home, if I haven't seen someone in 6 months or a year and I run into him at a grocery store or just out, whatever, he's like, they look at me like, I know you. So again, he lost half of himself.
Yeah, and if I wouldn't have been racing with him at Montgomery through the process of losing weight, I wouldn't even recognize him. I told him, gain some more weight back.
Yeah, he needs to start going to Hooters on Thursday with Frankie Taylor. Wesley Darter just chimed in. He said, Bubba, we hope you don't lose too much sleep worrying about our little old nitro slow mod. And you know what, with Wesley and those guys doing it, and Darter has been sniffing that nitro while Wes jumping in. But hey, listen, like you said, they get that combination, and if anybody can do it, and for those of you that don't know, that's Clayton Poole's old Pro Extreme car. So that car's already been fast with Bill Doucette driving it. That car with that combination with those group of guys, I mean, you're talking about the best of the best when it comes to tuning fast nitro motors, whether it's in funny cars, top fuel dragsters, whether it's in the outlaw fuel altereds. They will get that combination right. I think of all the people that have done it, and I think Scott Palmer and J.R. Sandlin as well. There have been some others who try it. Don Wooten back in the day with the injected car. But and this isn't taking anything. Scott Palmer's one of my all-time favorites. Love him to death. He's not racing it as regularly and is Wesley and Kevin and those guys plan on doing. So I think they get that combination worked out, and there might be a half dozen of those in a pro extreme field come the middle of next year. And as a promoter, I'd be just fine with that.
I think they will figure it out. I think they're going to go fast. I've never heard any times out of Palmer and them's ride, but I was impressed when I seen I think 410 and the 404 maybe. When I seen it online, like, they're going to figure this out.
For the gentleman that just chimed in, I sent you a text message. Why don't you go ahead and just jump into the green room? I mean, if you'd like to talk to the two-time pro extreme champion, you're welcome to jump into the green room and join us.
Yeah, and while we're waiting for that, sorry, don't want to jump in and hijack everything from you, Kenny, but
No, you're my co-host this week. Jump in, brother.
I got to cover Old Fears in his latest segment of In the Groove. So, Bubba, let me ask you, when you're getting ready to try to go run in the fours, what process do you go through either mentally to either get yourself in the right mindset? Or is there music? Is there something that a memory, anything like that? What do you go through mentally to prepare for something like that?
I don't know. I've been doing it so long. I mean, it's just natural, but I mean, at the racetrack, my wife and kids tell me I'm not the same person. I'm a totally different person at the racetrack. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to do nothing. But I mean, I guess I am. I mean, I'm concentrating on what I need to do next. What have I forgot? What needs to be done? What's the track temperature? It's just
running down the checklist.
Yep.
So is there a tune out there to Adam's point, though, since this is Dr. Fierce segment In the Groove, being a huge music fan, is there a tune out there that kind of gets your blood flowing, that gets you excited, that kind of, gets you in the mood to, as Clay Milliken would say, stomp on the loud pedal?
Not really. I heard the episode last week. Piers was talking about the music and getting you going. I've never really listened to music. I've never done that before.
What does Bubba Stanton listen to when he's just out driving during the easy? You're out working and signature floor. You're putting in floors. What is on Bubba Stanton's playlist? Give me 3 songs.
Jason Aldean, Try This in a Small Town.
Well, that's an interesting choice right now because a little bit of controversy surrounding that song, and I happen to love it. And I happen to love every word to it. And Jason Aldean, after all, did get his start in 2006 with the American Drag Racing League, least us forget.
I'm in a van at Georgia, pulled up in a little van, loaded this stuff.
Yep, and then ended up playing a concert. And when I walked into his motorhome in St. Louis at the Gateway Drags back then, the Fatheads Gateway Drags, ironically, as we get ready for the Fatheads Drag Stock event, there was a hole. There was a hole that they kind of had covered up with some plywood and some carpet. And he's like, "You're a pretty big guy." He's like, "Maybe jump over here." And I was like, and he pulled the carpet back and you could actually see through the floorboard. And he's like, and there's duct tape around it. He goes, "Sometimes we'll be going down the road and that will just blow up."
Yeah.
And all the dirt and dust and shit will start flying into and look at him now. And thanks to the cancel culture that tried to put the heat on him for that awesome song, it's now #1 all across iTunes, including the all genre, which is every song on iTunes of every iteration, whether it's classical, rock and roll, heavy metal, country, R&B, doesn't matter. That is the #1 song in the country, and I think for good reason.
No press is bad press.
Yep.
Absolutely. So I was hoping we were going to have another guest jump in.
There was an anonymous text that you got a couple of shows ago about wanting to put up some money or something against somebody in Rockingham. Anybody want? You remember anything about?
I do remember the text, and I was actually hoping that person was going to join us. So we'll see. I will tell you this. Wild West Johnston dropped off his motor in House Springs earlier today at Larry Jeffers Race Cars, and that Corvette's just about ready to hit the track. So there's going to be another 50s player out there and maybe a 40s player.
Corvette, Kenny.
Say that again.
Barney the Vet.
Barney the Vet. It's purple. There's no doubt about it. It is all kinds of beautiful purple. and the folks at Larry Jeffers Race Cars, I mean, hell, they do everything. They build the chassis, they put the body on, they paint it, they drop the engine in it, but it really is a stunning car. And I know you guys are going to have a whole lot of fun with Wes beating him up. And like I told him, it's like when we were kids, right? My granddaddy told me, if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. So I'm not saying Wes is dumb, but if you're going to drive a purple race car, it better be damn fast.
I'm going to call Jefferson and tell him any way possible we need that car at Rockingham.
Well, I think it will be. I mean, they're getting really, really close. Like I said, Wes dropped the motor off there earlier this morning, and
we got trouble.
As they say in the biz, Bubba.
We got problems in the green room.
Shit just got real. The guy that sent that text is jumping on with us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
green room got red real quick.
I'm telling you, yeah.
So, Mr. Scott, Dragpalooza 2023 champion, getting ready to venture outside the state of Texas and head to North Carolina for the Fatheads Drag Stock event September 29th and 30th. You've been listening in. What say you?
Well, I think it seems like there's a bunch of excuses starting right now. Well, my son's got baseball. I got to go to church on Saturday night. No, there's no church on Saturday. What kind of church you go to, Bubba?
Church of the Track.
I think it's pretty awesome, really. I mean, I don't know where. I know his son didn't get all them skills from Bubba, but he is a good ball player. I've heard a lot of stories about it.
So Texas Most Wanted Clyde Scott jumping in here and joining two-time Pro Extreme World Champion Bad Bubba Stanton. Clyde, we were asking Bubba a little bit earlier about what his predictions were for what it's going to take to sit on the pole in Rockingham and what could potentially be the bump. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I figure that it'll probably be number one qualifier, probably be TMW. Number two, probably be Bubba. And then to drag along be Frankie. And I don't think Jason even get down the racetrack. But if he does, he'll be fast. I promise you that.
He's referring to the Mississippi Missile, Jason Scruggs, the winningest Pro Extreme driver in history. But so that's a little bit of a call out.
I left that part out.
You did, but that's okay. Listen, hey, right now, listen, you're only as good as your last race. And right now, you're the one that's got the Minuteman hardware sitting in Texas, and there's another one headed to Montana so that you can have one up there. But you know, I know you guys kid a lot, but listen, when you go up there in the starting line in that top pre-stage bulb lights, everything changes at that point. Yeah, you can be friends and you can have dinner and you can visit over the winter and this, that, and the other. But make no mistake about it, and people can think, oh, they're just trying to create these false rivalries for interest in this, and this. When you go up there and you line up against, I don't care if it's Bubba Stanton, Jason Scruggs, Frankie Taylor, you want to cut their throat out.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt. Friendship leaves. Actually, it's usually when the tires get wet on the back and you push the pedal, that's usually when everything changes. It goes from butterflies in your stomach to now it's battle time. You know, you don't even have that feeling no more, that oozy feeling. That's the way I am. I don't know if all drivers are that way, but that's the way I am when I do the burnout, when I start my burnout, it's over then. No matter what, I'm ready to go on the track. I have no fear. I'm not nervous. I'm just ready to race at that point.
So Bubba answered the question that surprised a lot of people. I know there were a lot of people who had chimed in, and I'll give credit where credit's due. The only one that publicly came out, Robert Lohr, came out and said, I think he bet $1 million. He'd say Jason Scruggs. 99% of the other people were sure that it was going to be Clyde Scott. Does that piss you off a little bit? Light a little fire under you that he's more worried about a guy that hasn't run Pro Extreme in forever as opposed to the guy that just kicked everybody's ass a couple of months ago in Texas?
I think the reason I didn't even know he said that. I told my wife and Geary actually that he was probably going to say Jason. You got to remember they're really good friends and they got each other's back. Even if one of them come home and caught the other one dressed up in high heels or something, they would still be buddies. I mean, so how do you know, I expected that, and that's exactly what happened.
So you don't think either of them would rat each other out for drinking a Bud Light while they're standing in the swimsuit section at Target? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely what I'm saying. I mean, Bubba was, last time I seen Bubba, he was shotgunning Bud Light cans. That's weird. a little leather outfit. It was awkward, but
Oh my God.
no, I figured he would say Jason. I mean, it's hard to take anything away from Jason. Even though he ain't been in a pro extreme car, he knows how to run one. I mean, proven that over and over. But I don't think he can outrun us. I know Bubba can't. I've proved that how many times? Over and over and over. So I mean, I don't know why we keep having a conversation about Bubba Stanton and Clyde Scott. I don't even know why he's even on this show talking about even using my name involved at all.
You said 5 minutes with Clyde, and it was over with.
Actually, Bubba's a great racer, and I can tell you right now, when we race Bubba Stanton, we know we better have everything together and make one of our best passes, if not our best pass, or we're going to be in trouble. We know that every time we line up beside him.
And that's kind of a question I had is when you're racing, when you go into the next round or the next race, are you racing the person in the next lane, or are you racing yourself?
Well, so that's there is different ways people race. I race, I think, different than Bubba in most ways, because I usually race the person in the other lane, and Bubba and like Jason, they're just trying to haul the hay every pass. And I'm not saying that's not their way. Is a way that you learn to go fast. That's just my opinion. You can learn how to go faster, but you might not win as many rounds. Not saying you can't, but I'd like to race the person in the other lane. I don't necessarily try to race the track. So like if I had someone that ran 380s and I just went a 58, I'm not going to do anything to my car. If I had somebody run 371 or 369, I'm going to leave it alone. If I know that I've got Bubba and he just went 58 or 9 and we went 58 or 9, then I know I'm going to come back around and I'm going to have to get after it. Now I'm going to try to race the track, because I'm racing a guy that is capable of running almost as fast as me.
Well,
I picked up on that word too. Yeah.
I'll pose that question to you then, the same question that everybody was waiting for Bubba to answer all week. Who's the one guy that TMW, Clyde Scott, the big red bear, who are you? You're going to drag stock, the biggest door slammer race on the planet. Everybody else can claim that title. We know the biggest door slammer race on the planet, the one everybody wants to win, is ADRL drag stock. Who is the guy or gal, for that matter, whose ass you want to kick the very most? No, it doesn't matter. Whose ass does Clyde Scott want to go to Rockingham and just donkey stomp into the ground?
Jason Scruggs.
Sounds like this gentleman's got a target.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want him
one.
every qualifying. If he makes a test pass, I'm going up without a front end. I don't care. The car better be ready. We're going to pit beside Jason so we can be ready when he's ready, because we're going to go right up beside him. Go get it out of the way.
It is going to make for one hell of an event, and we are going to have a roundtable Thursday night. You want to mark your calendars right now. It's a ways off. It'll be here before we know it. Thursday night, the 28th of while we're testing, Thursday night, the 28th, we'll have Adrenaline Live from Dragstock, and we're going to have a roundtable. Clyde Scott, Frankie Taylor, Jason Scruggs, Bubba Stanton, and a handful of others. And we're just going to sit back and let you guys do the talking. So that's going to be an episode nobody wants to miss. And I promise you, from the first test lap to the final round on Saturday night, Dragstock is going to be an event that nobody wants to turn their eyes off of, because at any given time, I told Dan Van Horn and Al Generelli, the new owners of Rockingham Dragway, you might want to have some spare scoreboard parts, because we're bringing in pyrotechnics. And if somebody knocks that 47 that Frankie ran off the quickest of all time, I'm going to blow the scoreboard up. I'm telling both y'all. You think I knocked that window out and Ennis was something? That's nothing. We are going to literally blow the scoreboard up like Roy Hobbs, the character that Robert Redford played in that baseball movie, The Natural, when he hit the home run into the lights. That scoreboard's going. I'm just telling you. So I hope it could be one of you two that do it. But if you see a lot of lights and fire in your rearview mirror and the truck's coming, don't worry, your car's fine. Just go ahead and get off the track, because pieces of the scoreboard are going to be flying everywhere.
So see, that goes back to the question I was just asked by your compadre there. There's going to be a lot of people racing that scoreboard but we won't be them people. We're going to be racing the person that's another lane.
Going for that win. Hey, you could go back to back.
That's what I'm talking about. That
There
way
you
I
go.
can send Bob a picture of a trophy every day.
Oh man, you guys are great.
We'll
You
jump
guys
off
are great. We're gonna have to have a show dedicated just to you. Oh, we are Thursday night, September 28th. We'll have a roundtable, all the baddest pro extreme drivers on the planet, including the two of you. Bubba Stanton, thanks for joining us 2-time. Mr. Clyde Scott, Texas Most Wanted, all the best to you and your family up there in Montana. We can't wait to see you both September 29th and 30th, drag stock. 20 years. Can you believe it was 20 years ago, Clyde? We were in Carolina down there at the House of Hook.
I was 24.
I was 30. Gosh, we were just young bucks.
Yeah, man.
Bubba, were you even old enough to drive?
I mean, I'm older than Clyde. Clyde's a kid.
You just dating back when we look back at that 2006, your first world championship, when you took out, well, I don't know, the defending world champion John Lynham, a guy named Josh Hernandez, who's won a lot of national events in ADRL competition. And then, oh, by the way, your neighbor, the Mississippi Missile, to win that first world championship driving the Widowmaker for Roger and Shirley Henson. That was 2006, man. How old a man were you in 2006? Little baby-faced kid.
31.
31. Damn. If only we knew what we know now, fellas, and we could go back and have the physical abilities that we had in our 20s and 30s. Although I got to tell you, Clyde, I'm handing it to you too, brother. Bravo. I'm trying to knock down some pounds just to keep up with you and Hank Stubbs. You're killing it, man. Keep after it. And Bubba's always been in good shape, and so is Jason. But I'll tell you, I'm going to send this out to Frankie Taylor. Frankie, stop going to Hooters. If you're going to run in the 40s at Rockingham, you got to stop throwing down 3 dozen chicken wings every Thursday night. Or since we're not using clutches anymore, like Paul said, maybe we'll just cut his left leg off. I mean, he doesn't really need it. He said that's the only way they're going to get that much weight out of him.
It don't help, does it, Clyde?
No, Frankie goes fast. Frankie can bring his car out there, borrow a car, be 3,000 pounds, run fast. He'll get a light car, not do nothing. It's weird. Dude's just a racer, man. That's probably some of the strongest racers in the racing pro mod world is the Taylor Racing.
Hell
really
yeah.
good.
They are badasses,
Right.
and that's the reason why they won three Pro Extreme World Championships. Bubba's got 2. Clyde, you'll be going for 1 next year. The points start drag stock September 29th and 30th at the Rock, presented by Fatheads. Thanks for joining us, Clyde. Appreciate it. Bubba, have a great night. Give the family all the best. Tell Wes I can't wait to watch him play football this fall.
We'll send you a schedule.
All right, looking forward to it. Thanks, champ. Hey, there he is. Wes, jump on in there, brother. What's up, my dude?
What's going on?
Look at him, man. The future right there. The future. Hey, just don't listen. I want you to kick ass in football and baseball and all the other stuff. But you know what? Don't lose sight of the fact that you're the heir to the throne, man. That Camaro or the new one that follows it, you know, with your athletic ability, any interest in jumping in one of these things?
I'm out.
You're going to leave that to daddy. Well, I'll ask you this before we go. Wes, what is it like when you whether it's at school or whether that is right, that is your baby boy, Jennifer Stanton. He's not such a baby anymore, but your dad is a big deal in the drag racing world. Let's face it. I mean, he's one of the most popular door slammer drivers on the planet, and that means anywhere in the world. And he's one of the 3 or 4 fastest. He's won as many races and world championships as most. What's it like having a dad that garners that much attention when you go to a drag strip?
Frustrating when he loses and tries something dumb.
Spoken like a true teenager. Love it. Well, good luck in high school. Can't wait to get down there and watch you kick some ass on the football field. And we'll see if Dad can go down to drag stock and get another Minuteman and start earning points towards possibly a 3rd world championship. The Stantons, everybody. Champ, have a great night, and appreciate you guys jumping on.
Thank y'all.
All right. Take care. Bad Bubba Stanton, Clyde Scott. Does it get any better?
Phew, what a good episode. I'll tell you.
It will. It's going to get better. God, I miss Dr. Fierce. It's going to get better September the 28th, Thursday night, when we have that roundtable at Rockingham Dragway with every one of the baddest door slammer drivers on the planet. And we'll be announcing in 2 weeks, we'll put out our first I guess in the NFL, they have the first mock draft. Well, we're going to have the first right here, 2 weeks from tonight, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, Adrenaline the podcast. I was going to say bad and bod and pod at the same time.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of words.
It is a badass podcast. There's no doubt about it. At least that's the feedback we're getting. I'm just humbled to be a part of your world, Prince Adam. Thanks for joining me tonight, brother.
Hey, no problem. Glad to be able to step in.
Some great insight and got some different questions. And we finally got Bubba Stanton in the groove.
Yep,
we found out what he's listening to, as there are several million other people over the last few days. So we'll leave the politics out of it. We want to thank our good friend Bubba Stanton for joining us. Selena Mikos, Better Office Furniture, presented that interview. And this table, I got to tell you that we're getting ready to get wrapped. I'm ordering 2 more so that when we go to Rockingham, we're going to go to betterofficefurniture.com. We're going to place an order. We're going to get 2 more of these babies, because if we're going to have a round table, this one isn't big enough. We're either going to have to get one twice this size, or we're going to have to get 2 of them. So I'm thinking we just get 2 of them.
Table.
Yeah, because that round table is going to be full of legends and badasses, and I can't wait to hear what they have to say. So with that, we'll jump ahead to my favorite segment, incoming message from the big giant head.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, presented by Wes's Collision Center for all your collision needs. Here's the deal, Prince Adam. A lot of talk this week about drag strips closing. Of course, the NHRA just ran their last national event at the legendary Vandermeer Speedway in Morrison, Colorado, up on the mountain. Congratulations to my buddy. If there was going to be somebody that was going to win the last one, former Pro Extreme driver Matt Hagan takes his Tony Stewart Racing Dodge to the win in funny car. My man Clay Milliken, legend, gets the final NHRA Wally on the mountain in Top Fuel and in Pro Stock. How about my boy TJ Coughlin, Troy Coughlin Jr.'s son? I got to tell you, I enjoyed watching the race, and there was a lot to be said about the fact that track's closing and so many others have closed. And you and I talked about this on the ride back to the studio.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things that go into it, and for those of you that are beating up the owners of ADCO for shutting it down, so to speak, I want you, but before I jump in, I want you to, because you articulated it so perfectly from someone who's new to the drag racing world, just kind of give it to the fans in our audience the same way that you gave it to me. Your opinion on why these drag strips are closing, Prince Adam.
It's difficult these days for any drag strip or any racetrack even that was founded long ago in a metropolitan city area or in the outskirts of a metropolitan area. These days, the property value of that area is now greatly increased. The whole area has now been built up. It's been taken over by communities, and we've seen it here personally in St. Charles. We used to have a dirt track for years and years and years. It wasn't unprofitable, but it was more profitable as a subdivision, so they ended up closing the track. And it's an unfortunate trend, but you put yourself in that position to where if somebody's offering you 3 times more than what you were sitting at, or an extraordinary amount for your land, it's hard to pass that up. I mean, it's difficult for tracks these days to survive, I think. And like you said, I have limited experience, but the only drag strip I've been to is XRP down in Ferris, Texas. And it seems like that's almost the perfect model for it, being just outside of the metropolitan area, not in any immediate encroachment from development or advancement, and is able to survive and thrive for a period of time until that encroachment comes. But yeah, it's an unfortunate trend that it's just not feasible to maintain that sort of a acreage in a city limit anymore.
Well, and that's you articulated it perfectly, as I knew you would. I believe similar to that. My thoughts are pretty much in lockstep. I mean, we should be, as drag racing fans, as a community, as a fraternity of a real a family. I mean, drag racing is a family, an extended family, and it's always been a sport since Wally Parks took it off the streets and put it on the strip. It's been a sport that's been centered around families and generations of drivers racing. I myself was the third of what is now a 4th generation of families driving. My grandfather, my father, myself, my sons KJ and Joey, and Maverick is getting ready to start here soon. So having said that, though, we as a family should have a debt of gratitude to the Al Generellis and the Dan Van Horns of the world who
Certainly
go and buy Rockingham Dragway and build it up and pour hundreds of thousands of dollars into it to not only continue its great history, but for it to thrive. And as much as I want to say, and you know, Scott Higgs, Flying H drag strip at I-70 Motorsports Park,
they're making moves out there.
Absolutely, 100%. And that facility is going to be magnificent. Having looked at the grounds now and having seen, you know, firsthand what they're putting together there, I'm just telling you, we owe them a debt of gratitude. And then you've got folks like the Smith family. Bruton Smith's son, Marcus Smith, who now runs Bruton's conglomerate of companies. These folks are 100% dedicated to the sport of drag racing. And you've got Charlotte, you've got Las Vegas, you've got Bristol. But then let's go to the tracks that have closed in the last few years. Going back a little bit, Englishtown, and people want to say it's because racers aren't supporting the track anymore. I call bullshit on that. And here's
I don't think
why.
That's the case in every situation. It may be the case in some, but yeah, I don't think that's the overall.
Across the board, as someone who has literally been involved in drag racing my entire life. I mean, I sat in the front seat of my dad's race car, wrapped up with duct tape around my ears, while my dad was working on the car and warming it up. So for me, it was a rite of passage. I mean, it was like a birthright. I was born into drag racing. So 51 years later, this August, I can tell you that I don't believe for a second, and there's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of varying opinions on this. And I've read some things on the internet and on social media. If you look at Englishtown, their weekly program back in the day and the national events, Dave Hance's legendary shakedown events, the Knapp family specifically created junior drag racing. They literally created junior drag racing. They built the first junior dragsters. They had a dedicated drag strip just for junior dragsters there. That track, as again, the community got a little bit older and the people, you know, started to build around it, you can't tell me that it had anything to do with the lack of support. People supported that track in a big way. Atlanta and Commerce, they had a huge weekly following. ADCO that just closed, one of the most supported tracks in the country, Bandamere. Houston Raceway Park. You want to talk about weekly and national programs? Bandamere, former home of the World Series of Pro Mod Drag Illustrated's race, West Bucks race. Then the NHRA Mile High Nationals for decades. Divisional races. All the weekly programs, they were badass, man. This track was as supported as any track in the country. So I have to lean the other way on this, and I lean towards what you're talking about. I think it comes down to, like, listen, as a great friend of mine once told me, it's not about the money, it's about the money.
Yeah, it's always about the money.
So if somebody, who could blame the ownership at ADCO when someone's offering you in some cases 2 and 3 times of the Bandamere family, 2 and 3 times the value of what the property is, which is already much greater than when you bought it. I mean, this has been an appreciating asset for years and for decades in some instances.
And this is why Jerry Jones built in Arlington, not downtown Dallas.
Thank you.
Yeah, the same thing with Kansas City. It's just outside of Kansas City,
Absolutely.
Independence. But
and that's where Scott Higgs and Blake Housley and Flying H Drag Strip, they're going into Odessa, just outside of Kansas City. They're not building it in downtown.
Yeah, that's where these things
okay.
have to be these days. It can't survive within the confines of the city limits anymore.
Well, and my closing thoughts are on that, are just this, what you articulated so well, producer Adam, is just the fact that it's just economics. I mean, if somebody comes in tomorrow and offers Al and Dan, and I don't want to speak for them, I'll let them speak for themselves.
God, don't put this out in the universe.
But if somebody, I'm not, but I'm just saying, just wait until September. No. But seriously, if somebody comes in and you get offered 3 or 4 times what the market value of your property is, I'll see you in the Caymans. I'm not even going to turn the lights off on my way out the door, bro.
You know, especially like that other track that just closed. I think it was up in Jersey with at Altco or something.
Atco, yeah.
There we go. It had been in operation for 67 years. I don't know if the same owner was for 67 years, but they may have been looking for their kind of retirement plan. They don't have family to pass it down to. This is a hugely profitable. Yeah, this is a hugely profitable situation to go into as far as a retirement cushion. From a business standpoint, I get it. From a fan standpoint, sucks.
Yeah.
You know, can't deny that. But
thank God for the Scott Higgs of the world that are going to come in and build a new. And he's not just building much like Clyde Scott did. He didn't just build a little local track with a couple of wooden seats and a little outhouse and
destination.
He built a destination. And I promise you, Flying H drag strip in Odessa, Missouri, just outside of Kansas City. Fortunately for us, a little east of Kansas City, so the drive's not as far. It's 2.5 hours from our doorstep to the entrance to that racetrack, 2.5 hours. So looking forward to that. As always, we're fueled by Chuck-a-Burger, our good friend Ron Stilley. We are going to have the first ever Adrenaline, the Cruise In, presented by Chuck-a-Burger, Saturday, August 26th, right here in St. Louis and Overland, Missouri. The original Chuck-a-Burger, cruising since 1957, Adam. And I'm going to introduce you to their chili, a triple chuck with cheese, and a root beer that's it's about the size of my head.
Ooh,
so
that's big.
Get ready for that. Next week, man, Tricky Ricky Smith.
Yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yes. They throw that term, the GOAT, around a lot in all different sports. Is it Tom Brady? Is it Michael Jordan? Is it LeBron James? Listen, when it comes to door slammer drag racing, statistics do the talking, and you're going to be hard pressed to, and there's a lot of badasses out there. Again, I start naming them. I'm going to forget somebody, but I'll do it anyway. Shannon the Iceman Jenkins, Mike Castellana, Freddie Hahn, Scotty Cannon, for God's sake, won more world championships than anybody when it came to IHRA Pro Mod. Bill Coolman, I could just go on and on and on.
Sure.
There were so many legends. The late Walter Henry, Ronnie Hood, Steve Vick. I digress.
Yeah, we could spend a day doing this.
Tricky Ricky Smith. Don't miss that interview next Thursday night. Remember, go to YouTube and hit that subscribe button for us, please. YouTube.com, just search at ADRL Tour. Real simple to find. It's the official and only YouTube channel of the ADRL. Join ADRL Nation. You can also get merchandise right now, ADRLtour.com. Go to the store on there. We're going to have new stuff coming in a couple of weeks, and we already got maybe 2-3 dozen shirts left from Dragpalooza. They've been going fast. So get them while you can. Producer Adam, thanks for jumping in, man.
Hey, no problem.
Rocked it out.
Yeah, we made it happen.
We did. Dr. Fierce, can't wait to have you back next week. Again, our deepest condolences to you and your family on your loss. We'll be praying for peace and comfort. Next week, Tricky Ricky Smith right here on Adrenaline Live, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and a major, and I mean major, class announcement. A lot of people going to be talking about next week's episode for weeks to come leading up to Dragstock. So
perfect.
With that, thank you to Selena Mikos, everyone at Better Office Furniture, Ron Stilley, and the crew down at Chuck-a-Burger. Remember, the first Adrenaline ADRL Cruise In presented by Chuck-a-Burger, September the 26th, Saturday night.
Wait.
And of course,
not September 26th.
August. 26th. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
August 26th. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I got September on the brain, man. I just want September the 29th to get here so bad I can't stand it.
I'm already halfway.
August 6th, they are having a Chuck-a-Burger. That's a Sunday, an unrelated. They're having a Chuck-a-Burger cruise to celebrate their birthday.
Birthday bash.
But the first Adrenaline Cruise In presented by Chuck-a-Burger, Saturday, August 26th. You're going to want to be there. We will. With that, I'm the Big Head, Kenny Nowling, from afar for Dr. Fears, and from right here in the worldwide headquarters of the ADRL in our beautiful Adrenaline studios. Prince Adam, thank you.
No problem.
ADRL Nation, thanks for joining us. Next week, same time, different channel. You got to go to YouTube, like at ADRL Tour on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us. We're going to send you notifications only when something exciting is about to happen, like Tricky Ricky Smith making his debut on Adrenaline. We'll see you next week, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, youtube.com at ADRL Tour. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. God bless.